Let's get busy.
She's back. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Like we did this a while ago, a few months ago, maybe a month or so ago.
It's like a month and a half ago, yeah.
And due to technical difficulties, the infamous, I'm having you back. Not that I wouldn't want you back.
Thank you.
I
think it was an obligatory. It was like an obligatory welcome back.
I like your company. Maybe
Got
that's
it?
Yeah. I think the last time I saw you was at a movie premiere.
It was.
What did you think of the movie?
I loved it. I thought it was really. One Must Fall was not like anything. I'm not going to say it wasn't like anything I wasn't anticipating, but I was generally like thrilled. It's pretty awesome. And the whole scene at the end where like, what's her name? Julie. Her face gets cut off and like, you so don't anticipate that. You can't prepare yourself
there
for
was
that.
A
and
couple
you're like, oh, it's happening. I'm so glad that he put those cams like in the front row to catch everybody's reaction.
That's a good twist. Yeah.
The girls that my sisters came with, man, their faces. I had to loop that when he finally released the video.
Were you on there?
No. It was like right next to me.
Cough drops to keep me from coughing.
And of course, I'm a little partial. My nephew was in that.
He was, and he was there with you.
Young,
with you, I remember. Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm. Tell again, share his role was the.
He played
son.
Shepherd.
Right.
He played Julie's character's son.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that was his first feature role.
That was his first?
Yeah.
It's pretty damn good.
It's pretty damn
I mean, seriously,
good.
It was good.
I was like, we need to get you serious. He had so much fun. And he was so humble. He was like, he wasn't even like, oh, I'm in this movie. He was just like, I'm here.
Did he enjoy it, though?
He did. Yeah. And he had seen it before when it premiered at Horror Hound.
Oh, he got up in Cincinnati.
Yeah,
right.
He went. And I was like, ooh. I could barely handle that at 32. I don't know how he
did. You go with him at the Cincinnati one? Also, This was your
this was my first time seeing it.
Right.
It's good.
It was good. I was very happy for Antonio. The turnout was amazing. And
yeah, I mean, to have a premiere at the Palace is that's pretty big. Cool. I've been to a few premieres around town, but it's like normally filmmakers or producers will they'll reserve like a spot at like Baxter or Stony Brook, like somewhere nice and low key. And he was like, hi, I'm premiering my film at the Palace. I mean, whatever, do big. Go big or go home.
Go big or go home. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Well, let's talk about you. Your background, before we get to your current work, give us a little history. Born and raised.
I was born in Great Lakes. I was moved to San Diego, California, which is where I kind of grew up at.
Is it military or military?
Yes.
Okay.
And then I moved to Louisville, Kentucky. And then I moved back to San Diego. And then that's when I started sketching and sewing and making clothes. And then I moved back to Kentucky, and that's when I decided to launch my line and start dabbling more in freelance work as a fashion designer.
I am getting a lot of background. To me, are you hearing a lot of that?
I'm hearing this whole band in
no, it's
my
just
ears.
one. I know.
That's better.
It is better.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. All right, we'll figure this out. Okay. I guess now bring us to the time frame when you started really dabbing into designing and the wardrobe thing.
For film? I had gotten a call from Louisville Zoo, actually. And they were looking for a costumer to take over their season. This was in 2014. Their normal costumer was pregnant, and so it was a big load for her to take on for the season.
No pun intended.
None.
She had
Sorry, Dad. No. So yeah, I jumped in and I had one stipulation that I got to like actually come up with an original concept and design.
But there was a theme, though. Was there a theme?
Well, so when you get brought in, they're like, here's our janky wardrobe, and either half of it has to be entirely made or bought, and the other we're like trying to salvage for the next year. And so that's what I kind of stepped into, and I was like, look, You're All Cinderella is so sad. I'm gonna give this girl a facelift from the ground up. So I got a couple weeks to work on a couple Disney princess costumes, a couple villains. We did Darth Vader. We did Maleficent. We did the Queen of Hearts from Alice in Wonderland. And so it was fun. It was like my first actual job where I was, contracted to create costumes.
This is the zoo. Louisville.
Yeah, Louisville Zoo. So if you take your kids trick-or-treating this year and you see all the nice little princesses.
Is your stuff still there?
Yeah.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's cool. And then maybe about 2 months later, I got a phone call from a producer out of nowhere that said they were shooting a film called JL Ranch. It's a Hallmark film. Hallmark, yes. And I immediately hung up on her.
You thought it was bogus.
I thought it was a prank. I was like, you're not getting one on me. And she called back, and she was like, I'm a producer on this film.
We got disconnected.
Yeah, I totally told her. I was like, I have no idea what happened. So she told me a little bit about it. She said that her costume designer was flying into town. They had scoped stuff out on my website. They wanted to check it out. And I was kind of beside myself. I had a studio off of Frankfurt Avenue, and it was just a small little nothing. And it was like scraps of stuff that I had made, like partial collections. But yeah, I ended up having 2 sort of poncho throws, cloak style, that were in the film.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that, I guess, end of 2014 was...
And this was... How did they just somehow...
I have no idea.
Really? You still don't know?
I have no idea.
So somehow they got to your website.
I keep thinking that maybe they got in touch with someone from Louisville Film Society, because I've been working with them since 2014. Gotcha. So I'm assuming. I have no idea, but it's...
Timing is everything, right?
It was awesome.
So that's a nice little tidbit for your resume.
Yeah. Yeah, I think everything that I get to add on to it is pretty cool. Just that I even have done anything that I've done.
Did you see the movie, the finished product?
No, I've only watched one thing all the way through that I've ever done.
So you didn't. This is a Hallmark movie. You didn't tune into Hallmark to see the movie, to see your stuff.
I'm going to be really honest. I don't love Hallmark.
Honesty it's optional,
Yeah.
Here, but,
it's optional. I mean, I hope nobody that's in production is listening that wants to hire me for future Hallmark films. I will gladly costume design for that. But yeah, I have watched one thing that I've ever done, and I think I cringed the whole time. And I was like, no.
I kind of get you, because the truth is, I'm doing podcasts, clearly recording. I don't go back and
rewatch it.
No, never.
When I'm done with it, I like to be done with it and be like, all right, let me
What's
update
next?
everything, and then learn from that experience, because I think there's always something that I take away from it.
Well, then, there you go. What did you take away from that experience? Because that's kind of a big deal. I mean, you got a marquee actor, John Voight.
Yeah.
Who is really jockeying Trump these days. I digress.
I think all politics aside, I genuinely enjoy him as a person.
I do too. Yeah.
He's a very, very kind person.
I've heard that about him, and I like a lot of his movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, what was your takeaways from?
How green I was. I was very inexperienced, but I was also... I never thought that I would segue into film. I kind of always wanted to. I didn't know how. I really didn't think that at the time Louisville even had a...
So you were, at that time, you were not really pursuing or had this mindset that film was
I was freelancing just as a designer, as a fashion designer. I was doing a lot of print and editorial work, runway shows, collaborations with other photographers, makeup artists, and models. But I really didn't know that Louisville even had like a film scene.
Right.
I didn't know that productions were being brought here, and so that was something nice to stumble upon. And then the more that
now you know, because there is.
Now I know after a handful of films being shot here. Yeah. So it's fun.
Yeah. And then you probably discovered that there's some pretty talented people in town too.
There's a lot of, I think that was probably one of my favorite things was getting to work on different sets but have the same crew. Like your grip and electrics and your hair and makeup artist, your gaffers, your camera team, and getting to see those people and being like, where have you all been? Like
You probably thinking, I should have crossed paths with you guys.
You would have thought so, yeah. And so to sort of, have that relationship and build friendships, I think that's one of the cooler things. There's so many talented crew members here and a lot of talent as far as like actors.
Well, that's kind of the misnomer when people think Louisville. Depending on who you talk to, people will be like, "We're a small city. You know everybody." You really don't. It's not that small of a city.
No,
because you don't know everybody.
No.
I'm constantly, even with doing the podcast. I'm sure with your work, you're meeting new people that you would have probably thought, why didn't I cross paths with you?
All the time, yeah, all the time. Or when you get humbled and someone's like, why have I never heard of you? And you're like, thank you. Yeah. Ouch.
Yeah, but I get that.
Yeah. So
because we're not that small. I mean, we're big enough to. There's a lot of talent in town.
I think one of the, my favorite things, especially in the last couple of years, is just social media, because you, know of someone from social media, and then you finally get the opportunity to, cross paths or work on them with something.
That's a good point.
It's awesome.
Social media, obviously, you're engaging in a very general way with a lot of people, and you kind of, obviously, either in the film industry, whatever, music, you're going to just have all these mutual friends. And a lot of times you connect with people on Facebook, whether you accept their friend requests or you reach out to them, is because of all these mutual friends.
Yeah.
So there's that in Hollywood, there's that 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. Have you heard that? So in a sense, it's kind of the same thing. There's that 6 degrees of somebody will connect you.
Absolutely. I think that's it's probably one of the more fascinating things. That just my sister tonight, she texted me and she was like, I think you should not hook up, but she's like, I think you should link up with my friend. And I was, we've got back to school.
Link up and hook up. Two different things.
One I do, the other I don't. I link up. I'm always down for professional and, personal relationships.
You don't do the hookup thing?
I don't do the hookup thing.
No, anymore or ever?
Ever.
Okay.
I like relationships.
Oh.
I do. I'm a relationship person.
It's okay.
I am. I got a little soft spot. But yeah, she was like, you should totally link up with my friend, and so I looked him up on Instagram, and I was like, oh shit, I'm already following you. But yeah, he's super talented sculptor, painter, special effects, makeup artist. And I was like, how have I never worked with you before?
Right, yeah. I know, it's kind of crazy, but
so.
So you're now got one movie under your belt. Do you get the movie buzz? I mean, are you getting that little fix that you want to stay? No. Okay.
No, I think I felt way in over my head, and it was the first time really also having to figure out renting my property, renting my wardrobe, because that was something I had taken on. Derby clients, I'd taken on bridal clients, and everything is you meet, you have a consultation, you set a budget, you set materials, you go shopping, you draw up a sketch, you send them a little mock sketch, you have your first fitting, it goes all the way through. But they pay you for your service, and then they go home with the product. And so renting was something I was like, what am I doing? How much? And I think I totally lowballed myself. I was like, it's a production company, they're shooting for Hallmark, you should probably...
They're renting from you.
Yeah. But yeah, it amped me up for my second film. And I think it was the second film that I was like, take note. Mm-hmm. And these are the things that if you want to do costuming and be like an accredited costume designer and you want to not look like an idiot on set, like these are the things that you need to look for and these are things you need to do. And then you're going to have to stock up your kit and you're going to have to come prepared and you are going to have to beat out anyone else that wants what you want.
So, in a sense, though, it was a learning experience. What you needed to do, or where you needed to be, what you needed to know, what you needed to do, and what you need to be to be able to monetize your brand. Yeah. Accordingly.
Yeah. So. Absolutely. And it was not something that I was thinking I would go into because I always thought, I created Clique Couture, which is my brand, in 2005. And I just always thought, I would be in fashion and nothing else.
2005?
2005. I graduated high school, moved back out to San Diego, was like, I'm just going to be a fashion designer.
Was there...
Literally, that was like my mindset. I was like, I'm a fashion designer. You can't tell me nothing.
Well, let's stay with that. When you go back to San Diego, was there something a little something else there that got you to go back there?
No.
No guy or anything?
Oh, no.
Okay.
I loathed Kentucky at the time. Okay. I was like, get me out of here. I don't want to be here. I want to be back where I can see the beach from my front yard. Yeah. So, but a guy, if I'm being honest, did bring me back to Louisville.
So there was still a guy.
I came to visit, and then I met a guy, and I was like, ooh.
So you came back here, met a guy here.
I did.
And then that's what brought you back.
And then when my round trip back to San Diego for my visit here, I stayed, we talked for like 4 or 5 months, and then my hopeless romantic was like, if I don't fly halfway across the country and find out if this is real love or not.
It sounds like
right?
a Hallmark story that you didn't watch.
That I don't ever want to watch because it crashed and burned. I moved back out here and guy just was cheating on me, and I was like, this is the worst. So... Yay!
Peace. Wow, okay.
Yeah, it's more like a Lifetime movie.
Yeah.
And nobody can find his body.
Did you pull an Epstein on him?
A little bit. No. Oh gosh, that was.
That's the new reality TV thing that's going on in the world right now.
Yes.
Crazy. So now at this point, what I know you also to be involved with is some of the local film industry guys. Yes. You've done some recent film work or projects with them. Share with
a couple weeks ago, we actually just wrapped Blackbird. It was Mike Thompson's film. Mm-hmm. It was a short, and I remember getting the script. I got the script for his full-length feature, and I read that first. I loved that. I was like, I got to get on. And then I got this script for Blackbird, and I remember I read this like right before I went to bed, and I texted him, and I was like, dude, this is so fucking sick. And he and I just went back and forth, and then finally we such a creative little genius, and such a nice guy. And when we first started shooting, I was like, this might be like my favorite project to date.
And I'll watch the finished product though too.
So he actually texted me the little teaser for it, and I got chills and I had to watch it 3 times. Then I know my daughter doesn't care for anything. She thinks I have the lamest job of any crew member on a film set. She's like, they're just clothes, and she doesn't understand. But I was like, Carmen, come watch this. And she's like, oh, okay, that's cool, Mom. I'm gonna go back to watching YouTube or something. Yeah. But yeah, so we wrapped that, and then we filmed the teaser for Mujō, which was Steve Squall's project.
Say it again.
Mujō.
Show.
And that was featured in the trailers for One Must Fall.
It was.
Yes. Yeah. I was so excited because that was shot, edited, and cut like all within a very, very short period of time.
So is that done now too?
No, we
it's
actually just shot last weekend our day one.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I actually have no idea when we will ever wrap this because Steve's like, I'm going to keep writing. And I'm like, this
what I've heard.
Just be the series that follows me for the next 20 years.
Could be. And that's another good guy, Steve. I like Steve. Both of them on the podcast recently.
Yeah.
Good times with
I think you had most of Blackbird on here.
I've actually I have to admit, I'm a fanboy of the film industry scene right now. There's just besides being some talented people, there's just some cool people. Some
really cool people.
Come on and having some good conversations with. So
I think just getting to kick it on set with a lot of them too, and obviously you don't have that stereotype or sort of Hollywood air to them. But just being like, God, where were you all these years? Like, why have I never met you? And like, in everybody that I have met, regardless of their role, if they're actors or crew members or writers, producers, directors, they all do so much besides just that. So getting to learn, about their other areas of life too, and just how it overlaps, and you're like, God, these people are creative as hell.
Very. And I will continue to. I think my next podcast guest is in the film industry as well.
Who is it?
It's Herschel Song.
Yeah. I worked with Herschel on a film last year.
He'll be on soon, at 9. So here I am. I'm gonna fit non-film people in, I promise. I'm kind of having this very cool thing with the film people. Are
you looking to score a cameo?
No, my ego is not like that. I'm a guy though that I like to think I'm giving people, not the voice of the voiceless, that kind of thing, but just give them a platform to just share their stories.
Yeah.
And then let people get to know them a little better.
There's a few podcasts out there that are geared towards working professionals and startups, entrepreneurs. A lot of podcasts geared towards music and musicians, but you just don't find a lot where local filmmakers are able to shine and talk about their projects. I mean, there's so many projects that are going on, and there's just been a lot of filmmakers that I've met that are also pursuing their own projects, and I think just getting to hop on that and help other people and your friends.
Again, it goes back to there's a creative force in town, and I've been able to tap into some of it to get to know some of these people, and just Antonio's premiere, just going back to that, and just got to meet a lot of the actors involved, which were some great actors involved in there, and the people behind the scenes as well, and I'm very, like I said, a fanboy. That's probably the best short way to put it. There's a lot of moving parts to a film, and to hear the stories on how it all comes together. And then you got somebody like Antonio had to go ride out to Tennessee for a week in a forest by himself to write his next movie, because that was his thing. He wanted to be away from everybody. Those nuances that people have to do to get them to the
absolutely.
What is something like that? What do you do to find your next creative?
I definitely love and cherish my solitude. Sometimes I will just get off the grid, and I'll like retire to the gorge for weekends. And it's like no cell phone, and nobody's allowed to come with me.
But are you bringing stuff with you to, keep planning your next?
I almost always carry a notebook and a pencil with me. I'm just one of those people, I don't like storing notes like in my phone or typing stuff. I like writing things physically down.
Or drawing.
Or drawing or sketching. I don't really sketch a whole lot. I really have like a very backwards way of making garments, and I won't lie, most of the time I don't sketch.
Wait a minute, you got to elaborate on that. What's the backwards way?
So typically,
without giving away your secrets.
Secrets are not secrets. Yeah, so typically somebody would sketch out sort of what they're going to create, gown, outerwear, bridalwear, whatever. And then they go in with what's called muslin, and it looks like very, very thin canvas, and it's used for draping. So then you will take what you've drawn, and you will start to drape the muslin on the mannequin or bust form, whatever you're using, and then go in with color swatches, go fabric shopping, and then you put the final garment together. I like to just jump sometimes to the muslin, and then sometimes if I'm feeling extra arrogant, I'll just go and make it. And sometimes those aren't the best ideas, but I learn. I'm like, you know what?
But don't you have to be?
No, you don't.
You don't have to be extra arrogant?
You don't.
Really? Okay.
No, you should actually absolutely be humble and be like, I don't want to waste all this fabric if all goes wrong, which it has before.
Fair enough. What's give me an idea on Kristina's bucket list. What's on your bucket list as far as work goes? That's you've got to get these crossed off before you call it a day.
I've actually been writing a horror film.
Really?
I'm a huge fan of the genre, but I actually also want to.
So you've got the film industry bug too, huh? In that sense,
a little bit. I think.
Wait, if you're writing, truly writing, that's not more than a little bit.
Yeah, so it is. It's not something that I'm like every day actively working on, but it's doing the outline and trying to learn as much as I can from
people you're working with,
constructing like a proper format for a script, but also not trying to duplicate something that's maybe already been done. So I like a lot of the sort of the odes to the original sort of 70s, 80s vibe films. I just want to spruce it up with some better acting, maybe not predictability, like it's dark outside, old girl is in heels, she probably shouldn't be running, you're gonna roll an ankle. My eyes hurt when I see it.
Or in the middle of the film when she's in the shower all by herself.
Did I hear something? I did.
And all of a sudden music starts playing in the background, which obviously she can't hear, but
I don't know. She could have been like, Alexa.
Actually, at this point, Alexa, play something.
Play my jams.
Play something scary. Play a Jason Friday the 13th music while I'm in the shower.
In all honesty, I probably would do something like that.
That would be. So, would it be more of a comedy, or not more, but comedy?
I have a few ideas for different films that I want to do.
Have you started writing?
Yes, and this one is not a comedy. But I do absolutely want to dabble in that because it has to be done. I think those are some of my favorite films. When you're like a
comedy, like what Antonio did, comedy horror. You want to do that?
Where you can laugh and at the same time you're like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, there was a lot of that. And I'm just sitting around people, and I'm not jumpy, but to watch the movie play out and people around me, they're jumping, they're reacting.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the intent.
That type of film, I don't think caters to a large demographic that was there.
I know.
Like the sort of sick, twisted torture films. And so I thought that it was great that all these people came and they showed up for something that they were maybe like, oh, it's going to be a little scary. And then it was like, oh, girl's face gets ripped off. Like,
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, there were probably a lot of people who came to support Antonio.
yeah,
Whoever was acting, the actors,
all of them.
Yeah, but didn't really know much what the movie was about or the content.
That's the best if you have no
Exactly.
idea.
Exactly.
I went into that. I've only done that with one film, and that was Brightburn. I went into it just thinking like off of the trailer, like it was like it's kind of like the Superman story where he gets shot out of, the sky and he lands and somebody comes and they foster him and they're savior. And like he's a little dark and creepy, but like how much they got away with, it was gory. And I was like, holy mackerel, like I can't believe that I didn't know more about this film before I sat down to watch it. So glad I did.
There's probably at least one person that went to the Antonio's premiere that had no clue what the movie was about, or maybe knew what it was about, but not content.
Yeah.
And probably are still having nightmares.
They're like, this is why I don't watch these movies.
They're screaming in the middle of the night. Oh, my face is getting ripped off.
I can't relate, but yes. My daughter probably went. I'm really glad I didn't take her.
What else is on your bucket list? So you doing the writing thing, movie thing.
Yes.
What else? Do you model?
No.
But
No.
I think I've asked you this because
You asked me.
You take. Well, okay. In fairness, you post some pictures of yourself that look like fucking modeling material. So let's just.
It's the iPhone portrait mode.
Fair enough. So that's your intent is they're not model shots.
No,
Yeah, okay.
I've sat in on a portrait session for Ben Markham twice, and that is about as uncomfortable as I will let myself get because I don't like being in front of the camera, and I get pampered when I'm there. So they got the hair and makeup team, and he's there guiding you, making you not feel
But
weird.
in fairness, and I'm saying this, and I hope I'm not trying to make you uncomfortable, but the finished product with that, you look fucking amazing, don't
They're
you think?
incredible.
Yeah, don't you think that? Maybe I want to dabble in this a little bit.
No. No,
Okay.
absolutely not.
And I'm you saying that I'm getting to know your personality, who you are more. But I wouldn't blame you because Ben's a great photographer. I
He's
like his work.
amazing. Yeah.
And the finished product was good.
It was great.
My point is that you could take those pictures and put them out there, and someone's probably going to call you to do some shots.
That sounds creepy. No. I love that.
Not to hook up to.
They're going to be on my new Tinder profile.
Exactly.
No, I'm not on Tinder.
Swipe.
Swipe left, please.
Swipe left.
That's the way to decline somebody, right? Swiping left. Okay.
Don't act like you're not on those sites.
I'm not.
Ever?
No.
Zero.
No. I do hope to find a relationship one day, but I want to do it in a very organic way where I get to meet somebody where I'm out and about.
Like Krogering?
It's either gonna be Krogering or at Target or at half price books because I'm a huge book nerd.
So that you
Or my daughter's school, but
Okay.
I really hope that's not the case.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I'm not on online
No,
sites. I
okay.
won't do that stuff.
Because you are single.
I am single.
Just saying, guys. No.
I guess.
Do you get? You probably be honest. You probably get inundated with DMs and
No, actually, I don't. I don't. I had this conversation with a friend earlier in the year, and they were joking. They were like, "Oh, I wonder what your DMs look like." And I was like, "They look like business inquiries because I get a lot of other filmmakers that are like, hey, are you
That's
available
good.
to do this job?"
good.
Yeah. So I'm totally okay with that. I don't think that I would respond really to anyone that was inquiring in my DMs. I'd be like, "You get out of here." I just want paid work.
Bob. Yeah.
You know what I'm so glad we didn't touch on?
Well, yeah, go ahead. Bring up something we didn't touch on, so I probably won't elaborate on it.
My alternative career choice.
Okay. Assuming we didn't bring that up, and assuming we didn't talk about it, but what if we did bring it up and you did talk about it? What would you say?
I would deny.
Oh, wait a minute. I know this from our past conversation.
Yes.
Does this go back to the diva thing?
Yes.
Oh, we got to talk about that. That's right. I have to remember. Yeah, this is all coming back to me because I do. Bear with me. I do a lot of podcasts. So there was in our previous podcast we did technical difficulties. We're coming back and doing this, but yeah. Now you say that we did touch on a topic that I'm still kind of a fan of. I was really a huge fan of in the 80s and 90s and 2000s, not so much now, but
Yeah.
pro wrestling.
Pro wrestling.
You had a vision or this idea back in the day that you were going to be.
I was a fucking nerd. Like, somebody should have been like, that's not, no, don't go this route.
You wanted to be one of the, back in the day, they were divas. They were, right?
No, I didn't want to be a diva. I wanted to be a female wrestler. But I didn't want to be like the Sables. Like, I didn't want to be like.
Because the Sables. Those were the divas.
I covered my own eyes when they would come on. I'd be like, this.
You wanted to be
not
more like a Trish Stratus, right? Or,
no, she was trashy as hell. I wanted to be, what was her name? Jacqueline.
Jacqueline. Yeah, Miss Jacqueline.
It was just Jacqueline. Because she was badass.
Yeah.
She could kick a lot of ass. She was ripped. And she could wear whatever she wanted.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah, back in the day, in that 90s.
The Raw
Attitude Era. It was all that lingerie matches, and it was the bra and panties, man. Yeah, it was just really.
I wanted something awesome. Like, my favorite wrestler at the time was Stone Cold Steve Austin, and I used to have dreams of pulling out in like a pickup truck to the ring, like smashing beer. Like, that's the life that I wanted. I don't know who I thought I was in my life, but I was like, that is badass. I want school.
What would can you raise one eyebrow? There you go. So you got a little bit of rock.
I never wanted to be The Rock. I did not.
Yeah, you got a little rock.
But yeah, I totally in middle school I wrote
what would have been
Terry Funk, and I was like Terry Funk. I am going to graduate high school and I'm going to train at Terry Funk's Funking Dojo,
which was in.
I thought it was in Canada. You thought it was in like Texas.
Well, he lives in Texas, but I think you're right. I think at the time his school was north.
It was north.
Yeah.
That was my plan.
What changed?
It panned out. I joined my high school wrestling team.
That's right.
And I found out that it was nothing like the WWF. First of all, the attire was not the same. We had no entrance music.
And when you gave some a chop and you followed up with the woo, they didn't,
I got in trouble for throwing a boy. He was in my Option 2000 class. It was like a woodworking class. I threw him in the walls of Jericho. And when I realized it wasn't projecting as much pain as I had anticipated from seeing it on television, I implemented new moves. It was like a cross between like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Chris Jericho. And I got in so much trouble. But in all fairness, he was a bully. And I was like, you deserved it. You deserve the fucking walls of Jericho. Oh, I told everybody. And like, half of my school understood what it was, and the other half was like, you just mangled some like 6 foot tall kid's legs for what? Because I wanted to.
I remember back in the day, friends of mine who thought wrestling was just fake. And I remember one time putting the figure 4 on him.
Yeah.
The Ric Flair figure 4.
Not big now, bitch.
Yeah, but here's the thing. When I put it on, I didn't cinch it. I didn't clamp down. So he's like, there's nothing wrong with this. I don't feel anything. And then I laid it down, and he's screaming in pain. The stuff can be painful.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the misnomer, it's not fake. It's scripted. There is physical,
I thought that it was, so the first time that I watched a wrestling match, it was Macho Man Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan. And I don't remember much about, I don't know if it was a tag team situation. I don't know if they were on the team or they were against each other. But somebody hit somebody else with a folding chair. And I remember, I must have been like my daughter's age, and I was like, oh my God.
You heard the contact of the chair. See, back in the day, they let those chair shots really happen. They were taking them.
So it was real.
Oh, sometimes you're putting your hand and kind of blocking absorbing it, but then but at the same time too, the contact's there.
Somebody in high school tried to tell me it was fake, and I was like, it's not fake.
It's not really.
Don't ruin this for me.
It's just predetermined.
First Christmas, now you can't have this.
So did you go as far to come up with like what your wrestling name would be?
No.
You didn't even get that far?
No. I was so disappointed. I was like, where's the speakers? I'm here.
You didn't, in your head, you didn't imagine what your wrestling name would be.
No, I never came up with that. But for some reason, I thought that maybe by the time that I was like a huge hit, that you could recycle old wrestlers' music, because I was like, I'm totally coming out to Generation X's theme song.
DX, yeah.
I wanted to be like Suck It, and it wouldn't have made sense, but
break it down.
you're right. Well, and I love Rage Against the Machine, so I was like, that's my music. X-Pac or somebody's just gonna have to give it up by the time I come around, right?
You know them all, don't you?
I do.
Do you follow it now? Do you watch it now?
I don't.
Yeah.
I just started following Steve Austin on Instagram.
Yeah, he's got actually a huge podcast. His podcast is.
He's got a TV show. Well, he has his second TV show.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, does TV, but his podcasts are really good. He has a lot of
aged.
No, he looks good.
For someone who had like such a violent and angry character, I would have thought that he would have been like.
Well, he kind of got out a little, earlier than a lot of people. He got out in his 40s because he actually was forced to retire because of a neck issue.
Oh.
Yeah.
I would have thought it was his knees. He always had like the braces on.
He had bad knees, but it was his neck, which actually stemmed from Owen Hart inadvertently dropping him on his head for like a tombstone or something like that, and it was botched. And
his chiropractor was like,
took the brunt of it, and he actually was slightly paralyzed. He couldn't move for seconds in the ring, so it was that serious. And then from that, he had surgery. I think he wrestled a little bit more, and then finally they said, "Keep it up. You're not going to be able to."
Yeah.
So there's that physical part. That's shit happens there. Okay, so that's your other bucket list. It's a good one. I forgot. Well, I forgot until you touched on it. Anything that you've done that you wish you hadn't?
What are we talking about?
What's there professionally?
Professionally. Yes. I wish this was the month of the Me Too movement. Okay? So I will disclose this because I don't care.
Bring it.
And this is 2 years out from this film having been shot. But I worked on a film that was shot here, and the main character, who has since been replaced by Thomas Jane, was very sloppy, very unprofessional, and made a slew of really disgusting comments to me. And I remember wanting so badly to work on this film.
How long ago was that?
It'll be 2 years in October.
Okay.
And I remember being so excited.
He was an actor.
He was an actor.
You just said he was replaced. That's right.
And I was in this place where I feel like a lot of, and I don't want to say a lot of women, but I think that just being honest, we face it a lot more than probably any male counterpart that I've ever come across. But I was in this little tug of war between, do I speak up and risk losing this role in a film, my position as a department head, or do I just sort of brush it off and get on with it and try to like not let it affect me? I really wish that I would have done the former. I don't know if I would have gotten cut from the film or been like, oh, we don't want any problems, like we'll just find another costume designer. But it really did. It was like my first brush of how do you handle someone who's being vulgar? It's not just like passive comments or. But
was he just to you, or was he just in general to others?
I don't know of any other members of the production team that he did that to, but he was very bold in his delivery to my face about what he was saying. And then we wrapped that film, and
I'm curious, is it because, do you think it's his status, his star status makes him entitled to think that he can just, is that how maybe with this part? Because I honestly don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, I think that it is a combination of him being a, tenure in Hollywood, and also a little bit of being on drugs and just having that I don't care attitude. But yeah, he was eventually replaced, and some things came out about him during the Me Too news when it broke, which was just a few weeks later. And I just kept thinking, like,
damn, who was it? You're not gonna say, are you?
I won't say.
Okay.
We'll tell you off there.
Okay.
We'll leave it in comments.
Okay.
But yeah. So I think that's it. I don't regret it because I'm not proud of it. I just think that looking back in hindsight, that having to make that decision of choosing your career or choosing to speak up against something else, would it have even made a difference?
Gotcha.
So
that's it.
Yeah.
Don't beat yourself up over it.
I've not. I think just looking back on it, it's
not all guys are dirtbags.
They're not all, and I'm glad for that. But when you come across them that are all like that you're just like, ooh, you're a special kind of dumb. Don't be like that.
Yeah, don't be like that.
Don't. Don't care who you are.
Drop the zero, get with the hero. End it up.
I'm the hero.
All right, winding this down. My little rapid fire round of shots. I think you did this before.
Yes.
But we'll just act like you didn't.
Okay.
First concert you attended?
Gore.
Jesus.
Should I have said something else? Like,
well, I'm curious. How old were you when you attended this? If you say I was like 10.
No, I was like 12 or 13. Yeah. There's some things my parents just should never know about me. That probably being one of them.
12 or 13, you went to war. Can you give us a sample of one of their songs?
No.
Try it.
No.
All you have to do is just, come on.
Can we cut that out?
No, that's a sound bite.
That doesn't make it.
Yeah, it doesn't make it. If you had access to a superpower, what would it be?
Oh, I would be invisible. I don't know why I said invisible, like invisibility cloak is what I was thinking of, which is a Harry Potter thing, but I'd go invisible. Sometimes I just like to get shit done and not be bothered by like, hey.
Wait a minute, your invisible superpower would be to be left alone?
I love being alone. I think that's why I'm single.
Can't you just go in a room and shut the door? That's hilarious.
You would think.
But you have a child too, right?
That doesn't work when you're a parent.
How old are you?
She's 7.
Okay, so Is she needy, clingy to you? Probably not.
She loves doing her own thing,
Mm-hmm.
but she definitely loves showing me everything that she's doing. She loves being a part of what I'm doing.
Fair. Oh, okay.
She's a kid.
And she's entitled. She's of 7. Let her be a kid. If you were stuck in an elevator with a celebrity, who would it be?
Gary Oldman.
That's a good one.
It is so fucking good.
He is like
He's
one
diverse.
of the most yes.
I would love to pick his brain.
Yeah. All his movies from. I think the first movie I seen with him, Dracula.
Dracula. I loved him in Leon the Professional.
That's a good one. Yeah. Just so different.
Yeah.
So he's not one that is typecast. You know?
Not at all. He can do it all. He's amazing.
Any scars?
Yes.
Give me a weird scar story.
So it is very light, but it's near my nail. I was 5 years old, and I was at my aunt's house.
At the Gore concert when you were 5.
At the Gore concert, I was raging, and I was like, I hear the Ice Cream Man. But yeah, I really did hear the Ice Cream Man, and I got really excited. And she had this vase of coins. She's like, oh, there's quarters in there. Like, y'all go get yourself something. So I like flipped it over with the quickness, and I'm like going through all the coins, and I realize there's blood. And it's my blood, and for some strange reason, she might be an evil person, but she had a razor, like a straight razor blade, in the vase with the coins. It was like some shit out of Saw. She's like the original Jigsaw, and
she's the one that would load up the apple with the.
Yeah, she would. Actually, she would. I was like her least favorite. But I got so lightheaded from looking at my thumb just bleeding, I passed out, and I missed the damn Ice Cream Man. I have a scar to remind me that I missed the Ice Cream Man.
I
was pissed. So you can imagine, like a 5-year-old being pissed.
Yeah,
I probably forgot about it the next day.
Yeah,
but
well,
yeah.
That's a good one. Pet peeve. Tell me something that drives you crazy.
Sometimes I don't even know what it is until I see it.
People, because they never leave you alone.
I am very particular, and I'm particular about how things need to be cleaned. So I think when anything is cleaned like half-assed, it's a pet peeve of mine. And I'm like, no, this isn't good enough.
I like it. Pizza fan?
Who isn't?
You'd be surprised.
Who is
well,
not? I want to find those people.
The other day I
and
asked
throw hands.
that, and I asked the same question to someone. Like, y'all love pizza. All right, so this is the question I asked. Give me your perfect pizza topping. And their response was pepperoni. Wait a minute, you love pizza, but your perfect pizza is pepperoni.
Did you hide the body?
Yeah, I'm like, so give me your perfect pizza topping. What's your go-to pizza?
It is spinach, tomatoes, and I just recently started incorporating meat back into my diet. I'm allergic to pork, but I will eat chicken, and I don't know, I like chunks of tomatoes. And I like a lot of cheese. Like, I'm lactose intolerant, but I'm like, if I'm going to have pizza, we're going to screw me up. Like, just do it, you know? Because I'm a single woman. Like, I'm going to have to eat it. All of it. Do it.
She's single until she
5 cheeses.
Swipes right with someone else. I digress. All right. If you had access to a time machine and you could go anywhere in the past to observe, not to change the past, not to some Gore concert that you didn't, but where would you go?
I would relive that night. 1940s. And I think that I would observe how the costumers made, not just for film, but I mean, everybody was so freaking dapper.
Yeah, that's a good point.
There was no Victoria's Secret pink sweatpants.
Right.
And no Crocs. It was a good time.
No yoga pants.
I mean, you know what? I can squat in these. If I need to fight somebody, I got full range of motion. I can work out. and go shopping.
Kroger.
Like, I'm dressed for all occasions.
You're organic Krogering. You're Krogering to organically find your new guy, next guy. Whatever.
I know. I mean, come find me. I will be in the organic section, but
In the Kroger section. All right.
yes.
These last 3 questions, first 2 are yes or no. The last one is a 1-sentence response.
Okay.
Is there a God?
Yes.
Are we alone in the universe?
No.
What happens when we die?
If you get buried, you are worm food. And if you get cremated, I hope you found a really great place to go to. And you will be
Like
free.
that vase that you were missing.
Right. That's where I'm going to get cremated and stuck in. I know it. I know
vase with
she's
a
like
razor.
saving it for me. She's like, this is where Kristina goes when she passes. Who knows? I think whatever you choose to believe in.
Well, to me, at least to me, and I think a lot of people would agree that those are the 3 biggest questions.
We
out
are
there.
not alone. There's totally aliens out there.
It's going to happen. We're going to get that disclosed in my lifetime.
That's who I'm going to end up with. A freaking alien.
E.T.
E.T. and I will make some dope babies. He will swipe right on me.
He will.
He will.
You're going to be on the mothership tonight.
I mean, look, I ain't getting any younger.
Exactly. We're running out of time. All right. Kristina, share with people your social media. Where can people connect with you and all that good stuff?
You can find me on Instagram at Kristina.Kubrick. I've got my clothing at Clique Couture, and you can go to my website, which is currently under renovation and will be up on Friday at KristinaKubrick.com.
And we got company as is. Herschel's in the house.
Herschel,
Kristina, thanks for doing this.
you are so welcome. Thank you for
Do
having
it
me.
again.
Again.
Even
Part 3, watch out.
Exactly, the trilogy.